मज्ञान्तरमन्त्रस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाख्य चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नाम्ने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So yesterday we did chapter 4 of volume 3 of Prabhupada Lilamrita, and first paragraph we have finished, and now today we will be covering second, third and fourth paragraph. So let us start now. Hare Krishna. In the temple, speaking from a new dais behind a velvet covered lecture in, Prabhupada said, "In my absence, things have improved. New paintings hung on the freshly painted white walls. Otherwise, it was the same tiny storefront where he had begun his International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So, Prabhupada was in San Francisco. As we discussed yesterday, Prabhupada was in San Francisco, and after opening a center in San Francisco, now he is returning back to New York. That means, first of all, Prabhupada was in New York. In New York, he opened a center, went to San Francisco, opened another center, and now he is returning back to New York. So, in the temple, speaking from a new day, so Prabhupada now sitting on Vyasashan in his New York temple, New York center, and he said that in my absence, things have improved. And Prabhupada noticed that on the wall, new paintings have been applied. The devotees of New York have arranged donations and support from the devotees of the center, and they have painted the wall. And they have also hung new paintings on the wall. And Prabhupada noticed it. And Prabhupada was very happy to see that my devotees are now improving, now progressing. Otherwise, it was the same tiny storefront where he had begun his International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So, the point here to note is that it was the same tiny storefront. What written? Tiny storefront where he began his International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So, just imagine Prabhupada began iskcon just in a small storefront. Here the word tiny says that it was a very small storefront, not very big. And even it was on rent. Prabhupada took it on rent. So Prabhupada started iskcon in a rental building, very small rental building. And today if you look at iskcon has 800 plus temples all over the world. Across 150 countries, iskcon is having temples, lot of big temples, not just a small temple, very big temples. You know the temple of ISKCON Mayapur, how big it is being constructed. So Prabhupada started ISKCON in a very small building, very tiny building, and today you know what is ISKCON. So if your beginning is small, but you didn't stop doing it, one day it will become very big. The thing you need is consistency. Today, if you are not able to chant 16 rounds, if you are chanting only one round, two rounds, don't worry, keep on following, keep on chanting. One day you will come to 16 rounds. And if you are chanting 16 rounds, and you are not feeling rusha in your chanting, don't worry, still continue. One day the time will come when you will start to feel the rush in your chanting. Just don't leave it. Even iskcon also started in a small building, and that also a rental building. And today you know what is iskcon. We are here sitting discussing Prabhupada Lilamrita just because of that small tiny storefront. The same way, if you are not feeling rush in your chanting, then still keep on chanting. One day we will feel the rasa. He had written them that he wanted to enter the new building on his return, but they had failed. So when Prabhupada was going to San Francisco from New York, when he was in New York, what he was looking for a building, for a nice building, so that there he can open a permanent temple. Like here it's written tiny storefront where ISKCON began. That was on rent, but Prabhupada wanted to buy a whole building where he can preach very nicely. And when he was going to San Francisco, he told his devotees that I want you arrange the donation and etc. for the building, and you all buy. And when Prabhupada was in San Francisco, from there also he wrote later to his disciple of New York that you all arrange money, you all arrange donation for buying the building. But because of some problems, the devotees failed to buy it, and even they lost $6,000. $6,000 at that time was a very high amount, and they lost it. But without dwelling on this, Prabhupada made a more important observation. His disciples, despite the physical presence of their spiritual master, had made progress by following his instructions. So, despite dwelling on this, without catching focus on this, that you people have lost $6,000, it was of temple. Without saying like this or anything, just catching the focus on this, Prabhupada what he observed is that his disciple, they have made progress by following his instructions in his absence. So why this is a very important line, because this line is very important because Prabhupada trained his disciple, New York disciple, just for 4 weeks. He didn't give them very big training, and these people, these Americans who were not knowing who is Krishna, they were chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but they were not knowing what this Hare, what this Krishna, what this Ram means. But they were still chanting. Those people who were not knowing what they are doing, those people who didn't have any Vedic background, they progressed in absence of their spiritual master. This is very big, and they didn't get training any long training. They were just trained for few months, or I mean few weeks, and they made progress. This was big thing. So another point to note down is that if you are following instruction of your spiritual master, if you are following instruction of your spiritual master, even if your intelligence is not that high to understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, to understand the science of Krishna consciousness, still you will progress in your bhakti. The Paramatma who is in your heart, who is in everybody's heart, he will give you knowledge from inside. So your work is just follow the instruction of your spiritual master. Okay, next. As he sat looking happily at the freshly painted walls, and the bright faces of his disciples. Prabhupada explained how one obtains expertise in Krishna consciousness by submissively following the spiritual master. So Prabhupada was very happy that his disciples, very newly disciples, they have progressed a lot in Krishna consciousness. So he explained that if you follow instruction of your spiritual master, then you will become very expert in Krishna consciousness and very easily. If you follow instruction of your spiritual master, then you will become expert in Krishna consciousness very easily. And he gave the example that although an engineer's apprentice may not be expert, if he turn a screw under the direct supervision of the expert engineer, he is acting as an expert. So Prabhupada gave an example that the students who go for apprentice, any apprentice, they are not expert, they are just students, second year or third year students. But if they are acting under an expert engineer, if they are following the instruction of an expert engineer, what the expert says they are following. If the expert says do this thing in this way, and the student is doing that thing in that way, he is doing nothing, he is not adding up anything of his own, that means he is acting as an expert. So if he basically Prabhupada want to say that if you are practicing Krishna consciousness by following how how your master have told, how your spiritual master have told, that way you are practicing Krishna consciousness. That means you are practicing it as an expert, and by following his instruction, one day you will become actually an expert in Krishna consciousness. Many of the devotees were relieved to hear this. They knew that giving up material desire was difficult, and that they weren't going to become completely pure devotees overnight. So the New York devotees, they were knowing that living up this material desire, living up the uh, attachment with the body, attachment with your relatives, it is very difficult. And they also knew that they are not going to become a pure devotee like Prabhupada just in 1 or 2 days, not even years. Brahmanand had even written a poem stating that if after many lifetimes he could chant one round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra with attention, he would consider this the greatest success. But Prabhupada was explaining that even if they weren't expert in love of Krishna, if they work under an expert, they were also acting as an expert. So one of Prabhupada's disciple, early disciple, he wrote poem that even after lifetime, even after getting many lives, if I could chant one round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra with attention, with absorption, I will consider it my greatest success. So he want to say that for me, chanting one round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra with attention is very difficult. With my strength, I can't do it. But after Prabhupada explained that even if you are new to Krishna consciousness, but you are following the instruction of a expert, of an Krishna conscious expert, of a person who is expert in Krishna consciousness, you are acting as an expert. That means if you are following the spiritual instruction of your spiritual master and practicing Krishna consciousness, you will become expert, actually expert one day, and that also without too much of difficulty. Very easily you will become expert just following Krishna consciousness. So today's take-home message is that if you really want to progress in Krishna consciousness, if you really want to become expert in Krishna consciousness, just do one thing: follow the instruction of your spiritual master. Follow this instruction of your spiritual master. Your spiritual master have told chant 16 round, chant 16 round. He told you follow four regulative principle, then follow four regulative principle. If he told you read books of Prabhupada at least 1 hour or 2 hour daily, then do it. Just by following his instruction, these instructions are not very big instructions, but just following these instructions, you will become expert in Krishna consciousness. So the take home message is simple: follow the instruction of your spiritual master. What he has told, just meditate on it and follow those instructions. Hare Krishna.